Well, hi, good morning. Thank you for joining me in my shop here on July 8th. Another beautiful day, and I'd much rather be outside than here in my shop. So I'm going to do things a little differently today. In fact, I was in here yesterday for a good hour and maybe an hour and a half working on nothing more than the mechanics here of tuning the radio. So before I started, and I'm not going to post the video from yesterday because watching me stick oil on this for an hour and a half is just not going to be that exciting. But before yesterday, if I did what I'm doing right now, this thing would clunk along, clunk, 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 clunk. You can certainly feel it in the knob, clunk, 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 clunk. And if you turn the fine tuning, there's still a little bit of clunk left in it right there. Can't get rid of all of it, it seems. But it may go away with a bit more of this. I did a lot of this yesterday. So there is an interesting aspect to this, which I'm going to talk about. Just by the way, I've just managed to stick oil, solvent, alcohol, and WD-40 into all kinds of bearings that are in here, and I think really it's this main part here. So this have a larger tube here, I guess, and in it is this shaft, and the shaft, of course, is the fine tuning part of things, and the outer shaft is the rough tuning or faster tuning. How do they do that? How do they make that work? I think, and I could be wrong about this, this is still pretty tough to turn. When you don't have the knobs on, you lose the leverage here. I believe what's going on is this shaft inside the sleeve meets up with some ball bearings in the back here, and when you turn the inner sleeve, you drive the outer sleeve through these ball bearings. I believe that's how it works. Yeah, it's still pretty clunky. Pretty clunky without the knobs on it. It was pretty much impossible to turn by hand before, though. So there's some interesting parts here I want to show you, and it's going to be a quick video. I'm not going to do any work on the radio today. It's just too nice a day to be in here. So, but there's a gear arrangement right here, and another one right here. Now at a distance, it doesn't look like anything but a gear. You can kind of see the teeth on it here. But in fact, this is two gears laid up against each other. It's one gear and the other one laid up right against it like this. And then there's a spring pushing them to be more like this. Now what's the idea of this? So the gear has to, for a gear, if a gear is going to do something, it has to mesh with another gear. The other gear comes in like this. In a radio, and normally there's a bit of play in this. I mean, you can't have this go right down and fit tight. How could you possibly engineer that so precise? Maybe you could, but I think you'd pay a lot of money and have a lot of special materials to do it. And then would it stay that way as you go? Wouldn't it kind of? So there tends to be a little bit of play in here, and that may be fine in lots of applications, because after all, when you're driving gears, they push on one side the whole time. But here in a radio, you tend to go back and forth. You turn the knob back and forth. And the result of that is you can feel this gap. And it would feel terrible. You'd be turning this, it feel like a play in the steering wheel. If you're old enough to have experienced that, it's like playing the steering wheel. It's very annoying when you're trying to tune very precisely a very particular frequency if the knob is kind of loose, feels loose here. So to avoid that situation, they use the two gears with a spring pushing them like this. Now I've only got two hands, so it's a little hard to show this, but see how the gap gets kind of pinched? So this incoming gear would be pinched tight by the spring-loaded action of these two gears. But consequently, there's none of this. because of this. So we're going to take a look at those two gears, and we're going to check them for operation. So I'm going to switch cameras here. I'm going to hope the focus is going to be good for this. So first one we will look at is the one back here. Okay, there it is. Now look, you can see, there's two sets of gears there, and they aren't lined up. The fingers are not lined up on it. And you can see the spring. There's the spring pushing these gear plates apart. And then the gear they're going into is down at the back there in the dark. Let's see, I'm sorry it's going to be out of focus, but at least you can see way down there. You can see a gear thing going in. If I tune the radio, let me put the knob back on here. Whoops. Okay. It just goes around. Not much happening. But in fact, there probably is a little bit happening. Probably as I turn this, we're at one limit here. Probably those teeth are realigning ever so slightly because of variations in the way the gears are engaging down below, down where we can't see it. Nevertheless, it maintains a tight grip, so there's no looseness. And I've looked long and hard by turning this just a little wee bit, and then watching the capacitor and seeing that it moves a little wee bit. It's locked right in there. There is no play in this at all. But there's two completely different sets of gears. There's a gear system driving the plates here, and then there's a separate gear system driving the front dial. So it turns. It also has the same double. Same double. There it is there. Now, this one appears to be stuck. You can see the gear in the background quite clearly. But I don't really feel, you can see all the oil I put on it here. Oil and solvent to try to break it free. Now, one of the ways we can check this, check these, if they're really working or not. Okay, just take a screwdriver, stick it in there. This might be too big. Let's try it here. And then you just flex it a bit and watch. There, you can see. You see it operating. Okay, so there's nothing stuck there. Now, if I look at the other one, yesterday I was convinced this was stuck. Oops. Now, of course, the gear is the other gear, the one in the background there, is jammed down into this gear that I'm working. So it could be it's really locked by the other gear, but I doubt it. So yesterday I could get no movement on this in either direction. Now, why would I care that much about it? Well, back when I started doing this yesterday, the lumpiness could have been coming from almost anywhere, so I was going after everything to try to get rid of it. There's another interesting thing here that we're looking at right now. See the parts that are turning, and in between there's a sandwich of stuff. Okay, on the left there's a metal support plate. That's a fixed, that's part of the radio chassis basically. Then there's a brown thing, a brownish colored thing. Then there's some foam-like material. It is foam. And then you just have this foam kind of rubbing against this front plate. Now, what is this all about? So I think what this is designed to do is to remove any spinability that there might be in this dial. And I don't think there'd be much spinability to begin with, but where this becomes so loose that it presents a problem tuning, or if you tune it and then you let go, that this will backlash is the word for it. This will go back a little bit. Now we're talking about micro movements here, but this radio is tuned with the tiniest little movements in the dial. And so it could be that this is to ensure that there's no play, no backlash. I think it's play really what's after. I've lubricated everything you see here to try to get things as loose as possible. That big gear up against the plate sure seems suspicious. It looks pretty dry too. I should maybe throw a little more goodness on it. I have some goodness right here. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. I did a lot of this yesterday, so you could have watched an hour and a half of me just doing these kinds of things. Can you see there's a spring pushing this gear to the right? There's a spring on that lower shaft there, I'm pretty sure, compressing all this stuff. So it would seem. So what about this guy here? I seem to be unable to get it to loosen up, or is there really anything wrong with it? I mean, the fact that the plates are paralleled, it's just nothing. No movement at all. What can I do with that? Could I apply some heat on that? Wow. Heat is a very good solution for things like this. If it were in the clear, I'd put a torch on it. Not that I want to torch it up red hot, but torches are convenient for applying a lot of heat to a specific spot, a little tiny flame. But look, I'm so close to this. If I were to warp this in any way with heat, I mean, I would ruin the radio. So I don't think we want to put heat on there. And is it really the problem? In the end, after an awful lot of messing around, I concluded the problem was really in here. The main problem with the lumpiness in the tuning, a terrible lumpiness in here. It seems to be gone for the most part. It's still difficult to turn though. Yeah, I really do need the leverage. So I came in a few times during the day yesterday also, and came in, just did this, just turned this to try to, what I imagine I'm doing is I am redissolving old lubricant inside the shaft here, and the shaft and the shaft, and what I think I'm doing here is I'm just mixing the stuff up, mixing up the solvent. I put in there some alcohol, and I put in some WD-40. It's much, much better, but it's hardly perfect. I don't think it's like new by any means. So there's still something going on in there, but it's not enough now to really interfere with using the radio before. And this just seems to be getting looser as I go. Okay, well, I could make another video, an hour of me doing this, but I don't think I need to. This is all I'm going to do today. It's just too nice a day to be in here, and I'm going to head outside. But first I'm going to try to shoot some more solvent down there. So I like using alcohol. I don't know if it's necessarily the best solvent to use in these kinds of situations, but it's what I like using. Overdone injector here. This is a little too big for the job, I think. Yeah, that's too big. And the smaller one here somewhere, but where? I don't know. Okay, we don't need it. We'll drip it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip this up. So gravity's working here for me. And I'm just going to bit of alcohol. I don't want to drip it on that card. Okay. So all I've got to really go on is just how I imagine this to work. Even that seems better. Okay, these things take time too. The solvents and whatnot take time. We're going to give it time. In fact, that's it for today. Tomorrow, well, I don't know. Another nice day. I may be compelled to go outside. I don't want to miss my summer here. So I may not be in here again tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? That's it. So, strange video. Thanks for watching, and see you on a next video, sooner or later.